Good afternoon, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the sixth stage of the conscious evolution in sexuality. And this stage is called the Seer stage. So, this is the birth of the Seer. So, we just finished the birth of the Seeker, and now we've gone through progression of the Seeker. And remember, in the Seeker stage, things were really fabulous. They were really a wonderful experience. And I will explain a little bit more about the difference between the sexual experience in the seeker stage versus the seer stage. But first, I thought I'd share this wonderful quote with you. So, this quote is by someone named Hazrat Inayat Khan, and he is the founder or the beginner of the Sufism movement in at least the West. And so, in terms of the Sufi order, it's a spiritual group, which again, remember, I am not promoting any particular type of spirituality. I see the same things that come up in Buddhism, as in Islam, as in Christianity. All of those things, and from non denominational orders too. So I see that everyone in Hinduism, everything seems to be very similar in terms of the birth and order of this consciousness development in humans. So, this quotation was so beautiful that I had to share it with you. So, let me read this to you. It says, "In the eyes of a seer, every leaf of a tree is a page of the holy book and contains divine revelation." Isn't that beautiful? Again, in the eyes of a seer, every leaf of a tree is a page of the holy book and contains divine revelation. This is the stage of the seer. So the seer has actually two different sections or two different potential areas of growth in this time. So in this time, you might want to look at my previous video on the birth of consciousness and the birth of the seer in the evolution of consciousness in general in my earlier videos. But I can tell you that in this stage, I'm going to be talking in these videos, of course, about sexuality. Now imagine that there's two parts of this seer stage that can occur in an individual. One stage is a cosmic vision. So it's a space from which people actually have a cosmic awareness. So this is kind of a greater awareness of divinity within myself and divinity within you. And this will be a conscious cosmic awareness. So what happens with relationships is I see something fantastic coming through me because I want to give, and I am aware of the needs that I have and the needs of the people around me. So, in terms of sexuality, remember this can be one, two, or more people. So, if we think of the average couple, that this will be way beyond average, of course, because this is a whole different transformation of consciousness. So, remember that when we went into the stage of the seeker, there was a transformational leap, and there was the difference between dreaming, sleeping, waking, and then awakening into this step, which I said the seeker was a bigger step, in my opinion. The seer is also a big step. So, this is a whole different experience, which again, once you're feeling it and actually in the space, there will be no doubt to you that you're there. You will feel a different experience in terms of your awareness of things. So now in the seer stage, again, between cosmic versus divine. So the next stage, so in terms of cosmic awareness, yes, I see the energy that's within me that's coming from something different. I can't exactly understand how I know the things that I know, but I know them with certainty of my experience. And I suddenly am starting to understand the experience of others around me too. So, especially my partner. Now, remember that in this stage, this whole idea of conscious evolution, this awareness is expanding, our consciousness is expanding. And again, This is happening all around the world, in the whole world, in terms of a planet. This is happening in terms of our cosmic solar system. This is happening. And so if we're suddenly in tune with that energy. And this is the time in the seeker stage that miracles had started, right? In the seer stage, miracles happen a little bit more frequently, which is kind of exciting, isn't it? So if we think about, again, these two parts of now the seer stage, cosmic versus divine. So in the cosmic, it's understanding, usually amongst people. So understanding the needs of people. And sometimes pets, we can think about plants, so living organisms for sure. In divine consciousness, there's an awareness of everything has this consciousness, and there's a respect and appreciation of everything. So remember, this quote is talking about every leaf of a tree is a page of a book that has this divine revelation. So, you can look at a leaf and notice that the interconnectedness of everything that's keeping that leaf alive, including its source of the tree that it's coming from, is kind of a representation of the macrocosm around it. And we are also a representation of the macrocosm around us. There is this incredible interconnectedness between all of us. And we start really becoming aware of this in the seer stage. So, in the seer stage, we come back to sexuality. And how is this going to be fun? Because it sounds like, wow, that's a lot of awareness. And it sure is. But it also means that every nerve on our bodies can become more sensitized. So remember, touch and words. So if we're hearing, it's also through nerves, right? So we are also understanding and hearing things at a whole different level. The kind things that are said to us are appreciated so much more. The loving words that are exchanged in a relationship are felt so much more. In the seeker stage, they talk about orgasms happening at a level of connection of heart to heart, a true experience of heart to heart connection. And I can talk about actual waves of orgasm that are happening, that can happen, that are happening for longer periods of time than what would happen in, let's say, the egoic stage. So, this is kind of something to look forward to, and it is a fabulous experience. The seer stage is even beyond that. So, this can be much more intensified, much longer. And you might notice, or you might know, that there are various forms of training that help people get to these spaces too. So, of course, meditation can, and this is what I always recommend to people for conscious evolution in every area of our lives. But there's yoga. So people might be aware of Kundalini yoga. People may have heard of tantric yoga. There is just spiritual awareness. There is meditation. There is prayer. All of these things are going to help you get to this space if desired. So this is a wonderful, wonderful experience. And let me tell you, it is a phenomenal experience to have a connection, a union. Remember that the highest stage of spirituality is union with our highest selves. And when that is shared in a relationship, it is fabulous. So there are no words to describe this experience. I can tell you that there's a lot of training for these things. My opinion is that if people are seeking, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but trying to get to a space of, oh, I want to achieve a climax like that, they may be able to get there. But I will tell you that if someone is trying to evolve completely, and yes, my bias being through meditation or prayer, and remembering that it's the space between. So in the last video, I talked about Om. If someone is using the mantra of Om and saying Om, 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 it is just that little gap between the Oms that is the space from which, as long as there's a silent mind and heart and space within the individual, that extra energy flows into the person. And this is the same, I believe, in prayer, because people can memorize prayers and yet just be going through, this is what I have to say next, this is what I have to do next, this is in their prayer. So it could be very, very ritual based, and it could be very cognitive based, so thinking based. But it's not really a space for energy to enter. But if there's gaps between the prayer, where there's just simple centered focus, those will be the gaps through which those miracles start coming through. And they won't come through right in that moment, or at least I haven't had that experience, but maybe other people have. I don't think it's impossible. What I see as more often is this is the strength of true faith. Those miracles start showing up. And when they show up, it's wonderful to recognize that they're happening. Now, let's talk about sexuality again in the seer stage. So, in the seer stage, if the words are more intensely heard in beautiful messages that are being sent to you, you won't even need to hear the words. Sometimes it's the look, it's how people are present with each other. Remember that presence is part of each one of these stages that I've mentioned. So, being connected and having a union with your partner is going to make a huge difference in terms of whether you can experience the seer stage. Now, again, I know that some people would be just purely interested in having this experience sexually. And so for that, I'm going to put a couple of links just under this video. And please know that I have no affiliation with the links that I put on. They were links that I thought were useful and complementary to the information that I'm sharing, and that maybe people from different perspectives would get some value out of. One of the links will actually talk about how people can get to this space even alone. And of course, there's going to be a couple of links that are about the union of a couple, which I think is such a beautiful experience for people to be enjoying together. Now, you might remember that people often move to stages at different times from each other. So it doesn't mean that because you may be in a space of feeling this divine consciousness in the seer stage, that your partner is there. And remember, in that space, you will not be judgmental. You are not in an egoic stage if you're truly in this space. I would love for you to sit for 5 minutes after this video and see what kind of space are you in. Are you able to see, hear, feel, express, and be aware of things around you in a way that a higher source would be looking at things? Because if you are, you will notice your sheets will feel better. A touch from another person will feel better too, but it is more powerful, it's more exhilarating, it's more joyful, it's more satisfying than any other time that you will have reached before this space. So you will know as you're moving through these stages of consciousness, but how will you know whether you're really in this stage? You'll know. You will be able to look at a plant and really appreciate the divinity in it. You will be able to look at a piece of paper, a table. So living and non-living things will be loved, right? So let's say, of course, why would we think non-living? We can think about compost, right? Like, can you have an appreciation for compost that is then nurturing the earth from which perhaps our food is being grown, right? This is divine consciousness. So this is the stage of the seer, and I would love for you to sit for 5 minutes and see, are you able to see things from this level? And if you aren't, would you like to? Because if you would, spend some time doing some meditation and spend some time truly appreciating just one thing at a time. Look around you right now and see what's in your environment that you can truly appreciate and love as much as you would love yourself. This is the space of the seer. So I hope you have fun with that today, and I look forward to see you next time. For now, remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.